Hello, good evening. It is the 11th of November 2025. A month has gone by since Remembrance Sunday and Remembrance Day. It is now after 5 o'clock in the evening and I am painstakingly still trying to pack a lot of my stuff. So theoretically, yes, if I was supposed to have left on the 9th, a lot of what is still here would have ended up going to the charity shop, and I would have paid for a van to put it into, to take it to storage, or, like I said, the Salvation Army or another charity shop within Nuneaton or Bedworth. Now, the main problem that a lot of people have when they're in rented accommodation, whether it's private rented, council, or housing association, is that when you leave for whatever reason, and you then have to think to yourself, oh, fuck's sake, I don't realise I had this much shit in my life. What do I keep? What do I get rid of? What do I reduce, reuse, upcycle, recycle, throw away, etc.? But one of the things that a lot of people tend to get complacent about is furniture. Now, the reason I'm saying furniture is because I've been in this property 9 years, and when I first moved in, I got told, don't get too comfortable. You're only going to be here 6 months. The landlord is dying of stage 4 cancer. So ever since I got told that by the estate agent, I've always been looking for an alternative accommodation for 9 years, and unfortunately, there just has not been anything on the market that I could either afford, would take me, because I was at the time not on UC. I was on the old legacy benefits. Now I'm on universal credit, like most people with children. Child tax credit, working tax credit is now accumulated in under one umbrella, which is called universal credit. So the moment a lot of estate agents or private rented accommodation that is advertised, whether it's on Gumtree, spareroom.com, Facebook, whatever, the moment they hear that you are on any kind of financial aid from the government, they do not want to house you. Okay, this has not just happened over the last couple of weeks or months. I'm talking, this has been going on for years, if not longer. Okay, and although I've been able to prove that I can afford to rent, nobody has still taken what I've said as being gospel for whatever reason, and they've gone, no pets. Well, don't have any pets. That's not a problem. No children. Well, it's a bit late for that. I've got 3. No benefits. So a lot of the furniture that I had in this property was flat pack, like IKEA, storage, stuff, you would use in warehouse and distribution, anything that could literally be taken apart. It was cheap, it was cheerful, it did what it said. It's a bookshelf, okay? But don't exceed the following weight. Otherwise, like with any bookshelf, it will collapse. So a lot of the furniture that I had in this house was expendable. It was like, okay, if I have to move out in 6 months, I can just kick the shit out of it and put it in the black bin, or put it in the green bin, or, put it in the brown bin, leave it out for the scrap man. But because I ended up being here longer than anticipated, I did then start investing in more higher quality furniture that again was secondhand on from places like, Facebook Market, eBay, etc. Even, there's a lot of furniture out there. If you're not proud about what you own, there's even FreeCycle. There are so many people out there who are saying, I just want to get rid of this furniture. You come and collect it and you can have it. We won't even charge you. So that is what I ended up doing. But what a lot of people don't do, but I have done, and people have criticised me for it in the past. They've gone, oh, for God's sake, why have you moved that unit from that corner to that corner? Why have you moved that bookshelf from being upstairs to downstairs? Why have you, because the main reason I would do it literally every 6 months without fail, I would move everything in the house that I'm renting. It didn't matter whether it was my my house with my parents. It didn't matter when it was my first apartment, or it was my first accommodation with my ex-partner, or even my second accommodation with my ex-partner. I have always, always, always moved the furniture every 6 months. And the reason I have done that is, yes, I know it's a pain in the ass, yes, it's a real SOB, is because without doing so, you are not able to deep clean your house properly. You are going to accumulate dirt and dust behind furniture, which will accumulate over time. So we're not just talking days or weeks or months, we're talking months. And what happened with both of my next door neighbours, when they moved out, they said to me, we don't want the furniture in the bedrooms. Can you get rid of it for us? And I said, okay, all right, I will. And the moment I literally kicked the shit out of their furniture, because they said to me, kick the shit out of it. It's only going to go in the bin. It's not worth anything. It's from IKEA or, wherever. The whole of the wall behind where they had kept their wardrobes was covered in black mold. And each of the walls that this had happened on were the external walls to the properties. So I'm in a terraced, and I'm an end terraced, but my next door neighbour, they were an end terraced of another row of 4 houses. And my neighbour the other side of me, although they were not an end terraced, they had a wall. They had the front of the house and the back of the house. And basically, the back of the house was their children's bedroom, which is the same as mine. And they had blocked off the window to the bedroom because it was what we call a suicide window. It's one of those windows that would be used if there was a fire in the building. And for safeguarding reasons, she was never given a key. And so what she did was she put the wardrobe in front of the window, which, yes, as you can imagine, prevented ventilation in the room. She would open the window on occasions, like if her son was at school. But 9 times out of 10, you could not see in that bedroom, which I was happy because I wouldn't want people looking in my children's rooms. But it prevented a lot of black mold. It prevented air circulation, which then occurred black mold on the wall. Now, with myself, I'm not saying I've not had black mold in this property. I have. And the main reason I've had black mold in this property is because of the negligence of the landlord, not because of me as the tenant. Because like I've said, under the sink where the pipes had burst, even if I was to have cleaned under there every single day without fail, there is no way that I would have picked up that there was a burst pipe. The holes in the pipework, because they're copper, were literally like a pinhole. They were so small, and the only reason I even noticed there was a hole was when I came to do my deep cleaning of the kitchen, which would have literally been under the sink, stripping out all the units, pulling everything out that I could move, and literally cleaning the entire kitchen. Did I notice that all of the containers under my sink that have got like my cleaning products in and one thing and another were full of water. Now, that wouldn't have just happened overnight. That happened from me turning the tap on, turning the tap off, turning the tap on, turning the tap off to do the washing up. Now, because the hole was so small, and as you were aware, when you wash up, some people do it differently. Some people fill up the sink and keep the tap running. Some people put the tap on, fill up the sink, turn the tap off. And what was happening was not only was there a leak under the sink, so every time I turned on the tap, water came out. But then when I turned it off, you wouldn't see the leak at all. The drain itself also had not been fixed correctly, which I didn't know about. And the only way I physically found out how many leaks there were in the kitchen was by filling up the sink pulling out the plug, which there wasn't, by the way. There is no plug. There's no plug to the bath and there's no plug to the sink in the kitchen. But that's a different story. And I literally had to sit there on the floor and see where the water was running. And I filmed it and I sent it to my landlord and I took photos and I said, look, you know, I've just found out the sink is leaking. This is the reason why. Could you come and fix it? And it still hasn't been fixed. I'm not joking. I've been here 9 years and Environmental Health have said there's nothing wrong with the kitchen, it's safe, but the sink still leaks. The guttering still leaks. The lead flashing above the door, which only got put on in April of this year, has decided to finally fall off again because of all the rain we're having. And guess what? Water's coming back into the house again via the front door. But, you know, how many times do I report it when I just keep getting told everything's fine, nothing wrong. So anyway, that is one of the main reasons why I always move everything every 6 months in a property, even if you own it. Because then, one, you are kind of distributing the weight evenly around the property, especially with an old house, which could be prone to subsidence. You're helping with the ventilation, it helps you to clean. And if there are any issues with the property, the only way you're going to know is if you move that furniture. And believe me, it is a real son of a bitch to move 3 bookshelves every 6 months that are 7 feet tall, which I no longer have. They've all gone to the charity shop because I was Section 21. And I'm not just talking MDF. 2 of them were solid oak. And I got them for a real bargain off Facebook. And I was absolutely good that I had to basically just donate them because I haven't got anywhere to live once I leave here. And the main thing that I have noticed with this property is there is no black mold behind the bookshelves, which I am so relieved about. However, there are structural stress cracks that are clearly visible in the walls, which I am not responsible for as the tenant. However, I will mention them to the landlord when I move out. Well, I will make a note of them. So if anything does get brought up as an excuse, and I mean a pissy, shitty excuse to refuse to give me back my deposit, and they go, oh, there's something wrong with the wall in the living room. Yeah, go speak to the guy next door. The guy who spent almost 18 months with a jackhammer taking the plaster on the adjoining wall to your property back to bare brick. I am not joking. He did that for almost 18 months and the rooms in this house shook. I felt like I was living in an earthquake zone. That's how bad it was. Every time the cars go past or lorries go past, because it's on a main road, the windows vibrate so much at the front of the property. You feel like they're going to fall out the frame. So since moving the furniture, I have been aware that there is structural damage to the property. I have made a list of all of the structural issues with this property, and they are going back to 2016. They're not going back over the last 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 months. We're going back over 6 years of structural damage with this property that I have brought to my landlord's attention, and their attitude is, whatever, I don't give a shit. And they've not cared about the water damage, the electrical damage, the fire damage, or any of the structural damage that this property has occurred in the last 9 years that I've lived here, where a lot of it, quite frankly, could have been sorted out within a couple of days with some good weather if they decided to do the job properly in the first place. So I guess the advice I'm trying to give with this video is, before you move out of a property, don't leave it to the last minute to move all your furniture away from the wall. Because if it is covered in black mold or there is any visible signs of damage, make a note of it. Obviously, my next door neighbours didn't do that. I did it for them. I even sent them the photos. And I said to them, it is not your fault. The main reason, yeah, okay, maybe you should have moved the furniture and had a look at it before you moved out. But the fact that the guttering was leaking on my house and both of the houses that I'm adjoined to, and none of the landlords would fix the guttering, caused the black mould in these bedrooms. It's caused black mould, which apparently was sorted in the two houses either side of me, and in my property, the damage that the leaky guttering has caused this property that I'm renting, because it's in the middle, has been structural foundational damage, external wall damage, internal wall damage in the bathroom, which is upstairs, internal and external structural wall damage to the front of the house and to the back of the house, subsidence to the pavement, which is a shared access to all four properties, and to the entry of the front of the property I'm renting, again, subsidence due to structural damage and my landlord not fixing the guttering. And I just, like I said, I don't know how many times you are supposed to contact your landlord to say, come on, I've been here 9 years now and you've still not fixed the guttering, to the point that it is causing severe damage to your property. Also, behind me here is a cupboard, and there is structural damage in there too, again, because it's linked to the shared access, where the guttering from not just my property, but next door's property has been leaking for 9 years. So, c'est la vie. I guess that's all I can say to that. So, yeah, if you are renting or moving out, just be vigilant and be prepared for the fact that when you do get rid of any of your furniture, there may be signs of damage to the property. Not only that, it will probably show the original colour of the paint, which is why I will, even though people have said to me, don't do it, don't even waste your time or money, I will paint this property before I leave. But I will use my judgment as to how much of an assertive effort I choose to do with that. So thank you very much. I hope this has been useful and you've been able to glean some useful information from this. Please feel free to leave some comments, but again, anything abusive or discriminatory against myself or anyone else will be removed. Thank you.